We again hear from Rashad Richey. He has a little bit of an image problem. It stems from his rather low IQ. So he has been spending time trying to figure out ways to make himself seem smarter over the years. And one of those was to get a phony PhD from an institution that has no business giving out PhDs. It's a small church in Modesto, California. And then when that didn't work, well, let's just put in almost minimal effort and plagiarize an educational doctorate. And I exposed that on my channel. So he started thinking, what can I do? And then somebody came up to him and said, hey, look, what you need to do is put people on your show that will make you look smart in comparison. And he found one. He's got the biggest ding-a-ling coming up on his show here. You're not going to believe her. But in the meantime, he's going to go ahead and spill his idiocy for us all to hear. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Okay, you know what it's about. It's about Officer Hemphill. He's been after this dude more than the 5 guys that actually killed Tyre. And I mean that literally. I mean, he spent more emotional energy going after this dude than them. And it's not hard to understand why.
The white officer?
The white officer, we got to say that right up front. That's why.
Who later was accused of also being a catalyst to the death of Tyre Nichols.
He's not a catalyst to the death of Tyre Nichols. No, he has not been charged with that at all. That's just your claim. And I don't think he understands the meaning of the term catalyst, but okay. It comes from chemistry.
We got more information about him and the violence that he did on that night that contributed to the death of Mr. Nichols.
The violence that he did, whatever it was, did not contribute to the death of Tyre Nichols. When Tyre Nichols ran from him, he was perfectly healthy, and Hemphill never touched him or saw him again. Give me a break.
Let's put the picture up full mass here. Remember, they tried to hide him.
No, they didn't. They didn't try to hide anything. They didn't have anything to nail him for because he didn't commit any crimes. Now, there might be an obstruction charge that could come in. It would be a minor one, but that's what it's all about. And by the way, the 7th cop who's black that was involved in this, they haven't named him. And guess what? Nobody seems to care.
That is Hemphill, a document filed by the Memphis PD. Request for Officer Hemphill to be decertified. This is normative by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission. It's called POST. That document has given us more information than the police chief of Memphis.
Yeah, rather disappointing information for you, actually. There's really not much there.
That document reveals more of this former cop now and his involvement in the traffic stop and the litany of violations. But despite Hemphill being fired for his conduct during that night,
unfairly in my opinion, but unless he had some prior issues that sort of weighed in on the matter, I guess, I don't know.
Hemphill has still not been charged criminally. Not been charged criminally.
Yeah, we heard you the first time. There's a reason for that. I can't find any laws that he broke, but okay.
Okay. He's been charged departmentally, which is an administrative function, but the DA has not charged him criminally. On January 7th, investigators say Officer Hemphill initially told them that Tyre Nichols was stopped for reckless driving at a high rate of speed, but then later told investigators he didn't actually see Nichols driving recklessly.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Nowhere does it say that Officer Hemphill claimed at any time to have ever seen Tyre Nichols driving recklessly. Somebody on the police force probably asked Hemphill, hey, what's going on here? And Hemphill told him, We stopped him for reckless driving because guess what? He was called to the scene for that. And we know that Hemphill couldn't have seen any reckless driving based on the fact that he was not the one who initiated the traffic stop. He came in a few minutes later. And he was just driving around. So he didn't see it, and he never claimed he saw it.
All right. What is that? Obstruction of justice and lying on an official document, as well as violation of oath. There you go. 3 charges right there.
Yeah, he's going to do this for everything. Any kind of anything that comes up, he's going to try to rattle off as many charges as he can. I'm surprised he didn't list murder in there. Really. And there's a reason. He wants Hemphill convicted as badly as a jury can do it. He doesn't care if Hemphill is innocent. He just wants Hemphill to pay a massive price so that he can save political face.
There's more. He then let loose, as you see in the video, after Nichols was hauled out of the car. Remember that scene?
Nichols was hauled out of the car, all right, but not by Hemphill. We went through the video on that. Hemphill actually didn't help pull Tyre Nichols out of the car. That was Officer Martin.
Audio from Officer Hemphill's body camera captured him yelling, "Get on the effing ground, finna tase your ass." That's him saying that. Okay? Once again, not charged. As a matter of fact, we did not even know who he was.
Well, what are you going to charge him with? Saying naughty words? To be charged, you have to break a law, not just be a mean guy. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have said that. Maybe that's a violation of some code of conduct. It's not a crime. It's called the First Amendment. Might want to read the Constitution sometime.
In the beginning, they were hiding him. As reported previously, Hemphill is also heard on body camera footage saying, "I hope they stomp his ass," after Nichols fled. He also said Nichols began fighting with officers.
I'm surprised he didn't try to nail him for murder for making that statement, like he was stoking the fires of racial hatred or something. But we know that Hemphill made his comment after the beating had already started, and about a half a mile away. His claim that he hoped that they stomped his ass had no effect whatsoever on Tyre Nichols' health. None.
After he was stopped and tried to grab his partner's gun, video evidence shows this did not happen. Investigators say Hemphill violated the department's truthfulness policy.
Well, maybe. I mean, if I'm Hemphill, I just simply claim that, hey man, during the struggle, it was a rapidly evolving conflict. I thought at some point that Tyre Nichols tried to grab his gun. And then after I looked at the video, I realized I was mistaken. So what? When the state investigators asked him, he changed his story. He said, "No, I guess I didn't see that." So I'm not sure that you can really say much there. You know, I mean, if that is a gross violation, then half our patrol officers would be in trouble.
Oh, that's what it is. So when a cop lies on an official document, it's just a violation of internal policy. He didn't tell the truth. He violated the truthfulness policy. You see, when a civilian lies to a cop, that's called obstruction of justice.
Yeah. How many times have witnesses, made claims to police officers about what happened, and we find out later it's not true? Witnesses are terrible at getting the facts right. We know that. You can't jail people every time that they make a claim that they saw something and it turns out not to be true. Because people are mistaken. And sometimes right during the heat of the moment, yeah, you might lie because you want to get somebody in trouble or something. But when it comes time to get serious, as long as you come clean and you make the right statement and you are truthful, I don't have an issue with it. And it's not even obstruction of justice. And I'll talk about that here a little bit later when Madam Dingling joins him.
It is a crime. When a cop lies to a cop, they say, "Oh, It's just a violation of our truthfulness policy. You all have a truthfulness policy? Really? Can I read it? All right, there's more.
What's there to read? It's just a policy that says that you have to be truthful in your observations and comments. I don't know what else is there to say. The police do have an obstruction code. The problem is I don't think that anything Preston Hemphill said really violates it to that extent. So, you know what? You might have to lump this one.
He also said Nichols was fighting the officers. None of that happened. Additionally, Hemphill used a taser. Now,
define fighting. I mean, clearly Tyre Nichols was not cooperating. If he was cooperating, they would have had cuffs on him immediately. And so define fighting. I mean, yeah, if you're defining fighting as Tyre Nichols was taking swings at the officers, okay, we know that didn't happen, but he clearly was resisting arrest. So fighting, how are you defining that?
I'm going to get to the violence here, okay? Why is he not charged? Officer Hemphill used a taser on Nichols as he was fleeing in oncoming traffic.
There was no traffic. I proved that in my last video. We actually looked at the video. There was no traffic. There were a couple of police cars that were sitting still, and there was a car in the very long distance that was stopped at a stoplight. That's not exactly traffic.
And the documents show he failed to retrieve a part of the taser that was missing. Both actions are against MPD's compliance with regulations policy. Investigators say Nichols showed no sign of violence toward Officer Hemphill and say the former officer's behavior at the scene violated MPD's personal conduct policy. Well,
is it a crime? Don't think so. Show me where in the Tennessee statutes that constitutes a crime. I mean, you can tase a suspect. I mean, they give tasers to officers for a reason.
When are they going to say it violated the law? Well,
show me the law. I mean, it's not that hard. The process is really quite simple. You show me the law, you show me what happened, and then I can look at the elements of the law and decide whether he actually broke it. But I haven't seen anything from you.
Let me tell you what's happening here. Post-certification is the entity who basically empowers a cop to be a cop. It is your certification standard. Without that, you cannot have arrest powers in a particular state. Now, here's what's interesting.
He read this somewhere and he thinks he sounds smart saying it. That's the only thing I can think of. He thought, wow, that sounds intelligent. I got to say this on my show. If I ever get another doctorate, I'll have to stick that in there somewhere.
They know Hemphill is dirty. They got to get rid of him.
And how do you know this?
But for some reason, they're not willing to charge him criminally, which would have been the quicker route to get rid of him.
Well, if it was the quicker route, they would have taken it. There must be a problem here. And I think the problem is they can't find any laws that he actually broke.
The chief does not come out and tell us any of these details. The reason we know them is because in order to decertify this cat, they must present the basis for decertification. And in that presentation, these facts, these elements must be spelled out properly, or Post can be subjected to lawsuit.
Now, they're going to be subjected to lawsuits if Hemphill is smart because they lied in 3 places of it. I went over that in one of my previous videos.
So we are seeing the truth through an administrative division, not through the police department, nor through the DA's office. That is a problem. There's more. Documents also show Officer Hemphill did not collect and tag a cell phone found in Nichols' car.
Not a crime. It's just not really good police work.
The car and evidence were eventually towed to the city's impound lot. This violated MPD's inventory and processing recovered property policy. He also violated compliance with regulations policy by using personal handcuffs. Yeah, you heard me. The man for whatever reason that day, decided to bring handcuffs that were not issued by the police department.
Yeah, so what? I mean, tell me what that means. I mean, it's obviously a violation of policy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything sinister about it. Maybe he has handcuffs and simply grabbed the wrong pair. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of if a dirty cop wanted to do dirty things, why would he bring his own personal handcuffs? I don't get it. I mean, what does that do? But the way he tells it, it was like Officer Hemphill was caught with some radioactive isotope or something.
There's more. Investigators say Hemphill had the chance to change his initial statement, but did not. He had a chance to change his initial statement. He also declined to give a statement at his hearing with MPD on the day he was terminated. Why is he not charged?
Well, I think that there's this, I don't know, Fifth Amendment? Is that what that thing is called? Where basically you could just be quiet? I thought there was something about that in the Constitution.
Why is he not charged?
I don't know. Probably because he didn't break the law.
The Memphis Police Association, however, did give a statement at Officer Hemphill's hearing and said they objected to having a hearing before the conclusion of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's investigation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if the state is investigating, why have a hearing? Why not wait until they finish to find out what truly happened? Because they're going to go through and uncover the evidence pertaining to that event. That makes sense, but notice how he makes it sound so sinister.
There you have it. Now, you and I can clearly see a difference of treatment. Ben Crump called it out quite early. Not only was he involved in the interaction, he was part of the violence that night.
He was involved in the interaction. What the hell is that? Yeah, me and you, we can clearly see the difference. And the difference is what? Those 5 officers actually killed Tyre Nichols. Officer Hemphill didn't. That's the big difference between the two. And why you're so worked up over it, why you're so much after Officer Hemphill, is because he's white. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. Don't try to hide it. You want Hemphill bad because he's a white dude, and therefore it will make you feel better if you can also rope him in with all of your friends.
And then he was part of the cover-up. Beyond being part of the cover-up, they clearly described a scenario where he was allowed to change his statement. They literally put this in writing and said, hey, we actually gave Hemphill the opportunity to change his statement.
Well, suppose he believes his first statement was correct. Maybe he does think that Tyre Nichols tried to grab the officer's gun. And if he truly believes that, he's not going to change his statement. You have to prove that it was a lie and that he knew that it was a lie. Well, okay, good luck with that.
And he did not. Why?
If he had changed it, you'd be saying, you see, he lied. You can't win.
Not been charged. All right.
Again, I don't know.
Right. Just the thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Oh, wait a minute. Here we go, guys. All right. I know you're thinking, man, this Rashad Richey, he's the dumbest son of a bitch on the planet. But oh, no, he's not. We have the dumbest son of a bitch on the planet, the one on the left.
Just look at the officers who were arrested in Hemphill, and yeah, there's a big difference there. All the officers arrested and charged are black officers. Hemphill was the only white officer who has yet to be charged. And the department can say, "Oh, he violated our truthfulness, policy within our department," but he also violated federal law.
Wait, what? Hey, technically, just about anything you do could violate some element of the U.S. code, right? But the feds are not going to be interested in this particular case. This is a police officer. It's not a judge or a DA or something misbehaving. It's a police officer. They're not going to get involved in this, especially since it had no ramifications. It's not like it led to the killing of Tyre Nichols or it covered up the killing of Tyre Nichols. Tyre Nichols would still be dead no matter what Hemphill said on his police report. And the 5 cops would still be charged because they were caught on video. So there was no justice obstructed. Justice motored along just like it was supposed to.
And absolutely can be charged for that. And I mean, to some extent, he's the but-for cause of the murder. Without his false statement of reckless driving, the arrest wouldn't have happened in the first place. So
I was the only one brave enough to make that idiotic statement. That's why.
You see what I'm saying? You said, well, wait a minute. She hasn't said anything really dumb yet. Well, she just did. Okay. Preston Hemphill did not initiate the traffic stop. He's not the one who claimed that he saw Tyre Nichols driving recklessly. The police report, which I read in one of my previous videos, named Officer Martin as the person who pulled over Tyre Nichols. And we know that it wasn't Hemphill because body cam showed that when he turned his body cam on after he got the call, he was quite a ways away from the site of the actual traffic stop. And he didn't even drive fast to get there. So how in the hell are you blaming Hemphill for this? It had nothing to do with Tyre Nichols getting pulled over.
you could even bring him in if they don't think they can charge him under the same charges they're charging the other officers with. They could bring him in under felony murder for that. I mean, and because he's sitting there chanting, "I hope they stomp your ass," that shows that it was foreseeable to him that this man might be murdered as a result of his lie. So I think there's a lot of grounds under which they could charge this man.
Dummy.
Oh, okay. Felony murder. Give me a break. I don't think Tennessee even has felony murder, to be honest with you. I'll have to check and see, but I am pretty sure that it does not cover a claim of I pulled him over for a traffic stop, and it turns out he wasn't really speeding. Oh my God. Oh my God. Felony murder, huh? Okay. And since Wynn is saying, I hope they stomp his ass, a felony.
And the only reason I can see that they haven't is because he's white and they're trying to, cover up their asses for everything else. But I mean, it's also just, it's plain as day what's going on here. This man is guilty as sin and he needs to be charged and held accountable, and not just administratively, but criminally.
Criminal leave? What the hell is that? Is that what we're calling jail now? Oh boy. Yeah, she's an idiot. But what can you say? And she's crying about racism. The only reason why they're worked up over Hemphill is because he's white. If he was black, they wouldn't care. And you might be saying now, Johnny Walker Dredd, how do you know that? I know that because there's a 7th officer out there who has yet to be named, and they don't care about him at all. They don't know what he did. It could have been something really serious, but they haven't identified the dude, and they haven't said a word about that guy. But they really want Hemphill. We all know the reason. So, yeah, there it is. Rashad Richey, you're off the hook for dumbest person on the planet. You need to have her on your show more often. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.